But the way you know, but you seem so sincere. Tricky like that.
First of all, I want to invite the guest of honor to come up to the rocking chair. And sit there.
All right. Do I have to be quiet? Yes. I'm very nervous.
I'd like to take this moment to welcome everyone to this celebration dinner and party in honor of our esteemed choir director, Marcia Sommers. For those of you who don't know me or don't want to know me, my name is Myron Grubaugh. I'm the past president of the choir, and this young lady standing here next to me is Julie Clay. She's the current president of the choir. She was my vice president, and I had to drag her up here to get her to stand with me, and if I ask her to say anything, she's going to kill me. So. September 15th, 2013 marked the 20th anniversary of the date Marcia began her ministry of music to the members of First Pres and to the communities at large. In June of 2012, I was talking to Kathy Westhafer. Where are you, Kathy?
Right here.
In her most casual, I was getting ready to take over as president. I was vice president at the time. In her most casual way, she just mentioned in passing that September would be Marcia's 20th anniversary. Well, I panicked because I thought she meant September is in 3 months from now. My mind started racing. I said, how in the heck are we going to put together something in that length of time? Thanks, Kathy, for such short notice. She said, no, silly, it's September 2013. She went on to say that there's been some discussion between choir members and the consensus was that it would be nice to put together something to honor Marcia's 20 years of service. You got a whole year to plan it. No problem. Should be a piece of cake. I thought, okay, that's not too bad. A year, that's a long time to plan something like this. It's a simple party. So in late September, yeah, right. So in late September, early October, Julie and I selected a committee of dedicated choir members, dedicated, to be part of our M20, which for those of you who ever saw M20, Marcia's 20th anniversary committee. As I read your names, y'all please stand and be recognized. The committee members are John and Susan Kyle, Barbara Eds Willis, Brian Clays, David and Judy Stone, Tracy Burke, Bob Smith, Greg Stovell, Julie Clays, I would like to thank all of you for your time, your help, and all your support in getting this to do together and making an idea into reality. Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you.
I have to admit that since I'm the newcomer to the group that I just named, with the exception of Greg, I've been in the choir the shortest member of everybody except Greg. Everyone had a lot more input, and Greg's not in the choir either. They had these people had a lot more input into things that we thought should be done tonight, as they have all known Marcia much longer than I have. However, lest I give a wrong impression, it hasn't been easy. It's been sort of like herding cats. If you could get a minute of Greg's time, I'm sure he would tell you that the committee meetings we had, and there were a ton of them, they were unlike anything that he attends in his duties as minister of First Pres. They were interesting to say the least. We'll just leave it at that.
Oh, no, we won't.
For now, we'll leave it at that. We finished our planning in July, over a year after I was notified that we should plan a celebration. Thanks, Kathy, for such a great time. At any rate, we had myriads of meetings. Then there were subcommittee meetings and subcommittee meetings. And there were about a gazillion emails back and forth on every conceivable point in detail, was hashed, rehashed, and rehashed. I think before we decided on anything. I think our committee was personally responsible for slowing down the entire Fios and Xfinity network in the Westchester area over the past 9 months or so. In addition, I think I can honestly say that between Julie and I, we've organized and attended more choir meetings in the past year than all the choir officers in the entire history of the First Pres Choir have organized and attended. It sure seems that way anyway. However, in the end, we met our goal of planning and putting together this evening of memory celebration, good friends and fun, and we kept it secret. Your attendance here is testament to that goal. Thank you all very much for coming out to celebrate this wonderful person and her ministry. Before I turn this over to our MC, George, I can think of a few things to say sure back. I would like to say a personal thank you to Marcia. 8 years ago, in August of 2005, I walked up to her after whichever service we attended that day and asked her if I could try out for the choir. We just started attending church at First Pres regularly that summer, and I loved what I heard coming from the choir loft. I was pretty sure that it was a select group of musicians and not a volunteer choir, and I figured I'd have to schedule an audition. Marcia looked at me and said, "Sure, except we don't do tryouts. Just show up in September whenever we start, and we'll get you some music and off we'll go." Or something like that, whatever her words were.
Is that my first mistake?
I don't know how I don't know how she feels about her how she feels about her response now, but I know I've enjoyed my 8 years in this choir immensely. It's my way of serving my Lord and the people in this congregation, even if you can't usually hear me individually. At least I hope you can. Thank you, Marcia, for all that you've done for us.
Amen.
And for everyone in the choir, in this church, in the community. You're truly a treasure. And now I'd like to turn the evening over to George so that he can get things rolling.
Okay, Marcia. Boy, are you lucky this is not a roast. We're gonna take it easy on you tonight.
Oh, okay.
So why did you think they asked me to be an MC? Strictly because I'm your insurance agent. Strictly. I had to ensure that you left your home on time. I had to ensure that you had all your jewelry on. I had to ensure that you wouldn't get into an auto accident. But most importantly, I had to ensure that you were going to have a great time tonight, which you will. Okay, can you remember back your interview with Bill Hess?
I'll never forget that.
Sitting there pregnant in one of those little tiny like choir chairs?
Yes, I do.
Sitting there.
I walked in the room, he was the one person I hadn't met, and I said, who's that man?
Well, he was the man that made the call. No, that was great. 20 years though, what a really long time. Really long time. It is so long, it's so long that you remember the first year Sam Barber was playing the organ? No, Marcia's great. She encourages everyone to come out to the choir. So I sent her an email and she goes, George, forget it. Then I tried to go show up at one of those auditions that Myron was talking about, and every time I showed up, you picked the other person. Oh, choir told me that hopefully in the next 20 years you might be able to go through a song in practice without stopping the song.
Let's start a little bit.
Choir, how do you know when you've done well on a song or a hymn? How do you know well? They've learned that at the end of the hymn to look you right in the eye. And I'm going to go through variations, okay? If it's not good, not well done, I think you seem to like stare at him, give him a poker face. I don't know if you do a throat slash, but I think you mouth like lousy job. Okay? That's when they didn't do it well. If they did it good, you would give them like a slight head nod, right? A little head nod that you did good. Okay? If they were pretty good, little twinkle of the eye. Okay? And if they did a great job, I think they got all three. They got the head bob, they got the twinkle in the eye, and the mouthing, good job, you did a good job, okay? So that's all the variations, that's what I've been told. So they know at the end of it whether they did a good job. There's no way Marcia's going to be asked to be on the church membership committee or community outreach, there's no way. I think there's two instances which definitely strike you from being on that committee. First is when the Carolyn crew and you decided to play Yankee Doodle Dandy throughout the Westchester community about 15 times one afternoon. That's not going to help getting us new members. Then to top that off, I mean that's the first thing, okay, that was one strike. Second time, all the neighbors seem to have their alarm clocks preset by you to 4 a.m. since you decided to test them out at 4 a.m. rather than at 4 p.m. I wonder how many calls Greg got that day.
I'm still getting
We got them.
They got him. There you go. 4 a.m. versus 4 p.m. But you know what? All during this time, you've really directed a lot of great events over the years. Longwood Gardens, you guys sing, what, every other year? But one year, I think you're going to have to freeze them out in the tent. You guys were all in the tent. Heat got poured up and Stefan's music goes flying all over the place. All over the place. But great, every other year at Longwood Garden, fantastic time. How about 8 years of doing the Phillies games?
Yeah.
Directing that is great. Every time you get a chance to sing at the game. But I think really you only directed 7, not 8.
That's right, correct.
Okay, there's one time, ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the singing of the national anthem under the done by the Presbyterian Chancel Choir under the direction of Ross Carl. So 7 out of 8's not bad. Ross did it once. How about that backyard private funeral where you and my wife sang in the garden with the dog sniffing at your pant legs and you wondering if he was going to do it in the garden? But you kept singing and you weren't distracted one bit. Oh, and then there was the Broadway show at church. Who'll never forget that. I mean, you had some bogus MC that didn't know how to pronounce Stephen Sondheim. And then to top it off, you established a new dress code at First Press. First employee and first member ever to wear fishnet stockings in the church. Oh boy, was that a trip. Then you couldn't be happy with performing domestically, so you took the choir over to Europe. Salzburg. I mean, the choir told me you didn't care for the German sausages since they were the worst. That shows me that you're listening. But I think, even though you didn't like them, I think you took a liking to Kurt, who twirled you around the beer hall dance floor that night. Oh, and then there are the progressive dinners. Oh boy, I'll never forget them. In fact, there's still choir members still trying to find the next home for dessert. No, but Marcia, it's been great. You got into sports when Will got involved with Ruston football. And I can remember you and I having these strategy meetings, how we're going to get him a college scholarship as a football kicker, because he was a good kicker at Ruston. So now you still continue to follow the Ruston football games, and you're a big Pitt basketball team. So let me read a note. That's all I got for you. Okay, so I did take it easy on you.
Very easy.
Let me read a note from someone who couldn't be here tonight, who really wanted to be here tonight. So I'm passing on their words to you. Dear Marcia, congratulations on the significant accomplishment of serving the Lord at First Presbyterian Church for 20 glorious years. Beverly and I wish to join our voices with all those who are grateful to have been blessed with your musical talents and spiritual leadership. In your music, God has truly been glorified. I recall the first time we met, the only room available for the interview had children's little chairs. You were pregnant with Will, and we all sat in a circle on those tiny chairs. You were gracious, articulate, he forgot pregnant, and clearly passionate about using your gifts in service to God. I was embarrassed and was sure we had lost you. When you agreed to come to Westchester, all I could say was, thank you, Jesus. When it came to planning worship, you were a dream to work with. All I ever needed to do was to give you the biblical text, and soon you had just the right hymns and anthems to support that scripture. Each week we were blessed with something special: children or youth, bells or brass, flutes or strings. The variety was simply marvelous. I was deeply appreciative of your sensitivity to the seasons of the church year, Advent and Lent in particular. You were superb in helping us to express the wonder and joy of Christmas and the heavenly hope present in our Easter celebration. Your mature faith in God and your outstanding skills as a musician combined to be a blessing to the congregation and an inspiration to those of us who serve by your side as colleagues in ministry. Beverly and I regret that we are not able to be with you this evening. We treasure the time we journeyed side by side as faithful members of the church militant, and we can assure you that we will be the first two in line to sign up to sing in your choir in the church triumvirate. Peace in Christ, Bill and Beverly Hess. I think we all agree tonight it's been a great 20-year ride with you. Thanks.
We've asked a few staff and former staff members that are here to say something. Unfortunately, I don't have a list of who's supposed to speak. So. Well, it's, you know, we're not perfect. Phoebe?
Well, I go first?
Yeah, okay. Sure, why not?
I have a little visual aid. I just like to have to let you know, I have no idea what comes before or after this. So. All I got was a little piece of paper from the Clays that said, "Can you say something? Please let us know, because if you can't." So I have two visual aids. As I thought about my experiences with Marcia and working side by side with her, I of course echo the sentiments that Bill has said. We were part of a wonderful team, and we had wonderful opportunities to create wonderful worship opportunities, mission opportunities, and just personal experiences. I was on the second floor, so Marcia and I had a great time running back and forth, you know, connecting with each other. I'm sure Karen Goldstein and the crew were down there, what are they doing? What are they doing? And then once a week, the quilters would be down the hall and might know a little bit. But my visual aid has to do a little bit with some of the wonderful things we did with youth and with children. So I want you to imagine a cold, air-conditioned choir room in July. And you're all sort of summer vacation, people coming and going. And Marcia and I have now taken the temperature down to about 55. We have cranked up the Christmas tunes. We have before us 5 or 6 Christmas children's stories. And yes, we are writing the Christmas Eve pageant. Right? And we think of these great ideas, and like Bill was saying, you could give her a scripture verse, or we would think of a story, or I would be at the Chester County Book Company, and I would see this wonderful book, half price, of course, on the 27th of December. This would make a great Christmas Eve play. Never dawned on either of us that we wouldn't get away with it. Right? Like, remember the Posada? You know, all the kids dressed in white, you know, whatever, panyas or whatever they're called. You know, they're all wearing ponchos. Who puts kids in ponchos on December 25th? Right? And then there was the one, the Huron Carol, with the big wings. And I think it was one of the Barkus kids. Like, she made these wings. And of course it put feathers all over the red carpet. Never dawned on us in July that come Christmas, sparkly and spangly, we're going to have those kids. Or that we would find you parents willing to spend all those Tuesday nights making costumes. For at one point we had 127 children in the Christmas Eve pageant. Like, amazing. But she never failed to think, okay, we can do this. We can do this. We can do this. I'm not sure what you said when you got home, but on on the second floor, we spent a lot of time going, we can do this. And I think one of the greatest things, and what's so great about seeing Alyssa and Lindsay and I know Bailey, I mean many of you, and many of you who had your children involved, the Stones and others, is that you let us have your children for these glorious moments when it always seemed like Marcia knew exactly what she was doing. And I would go back to my office and go, oh, please, God, make this work. I don't know if I can pull this off. But, you know, you walk into a meeting with Marcia organized, ready, prepared. I'm like, oh, God, I hope I did this all right today. You know, don't let me screw it up. But it was just wonderful and continues to be wonderful to work with you, to have you as a friend. And I want to add one note. I have no idea what comes behind me, but on a serious note, I have to tell you a very, very lifelong, valuable lesson you have taught me. As a big sister, as a friend, your ability to manage conflict is like second to none. I don't know, I give someone a round of applause for that. And you taught me that, to not be afraid to come at it straight, to come at it with truth, to come at it with passion, and to come at it with faith. And no matter what conflicts we have, whether they're personal or professional, you have this incredible ability to move on. And it comes with grace, and it comes with love, and it comes with kindness, and it comes with this incredible belief that it's going to be okay, it's going to work. And I thank you very much for that treasure that you have instilled in my heart, and I think for many of us here.
Next, I think we're going to ask Anderson to say a few words.
This fellow was in the bar drinking. And something told him it's time to go home. So he decided to stand up, but he fell flat on his face. He concluded that maybe I had one too many, and if I just wait a while, I'll be able to get up and go home. 30 minutes later, he tried to get up and fell flat on his face. The third time he tried, he fell flat on his face. In the end, he had to crawl out of the bar, crawl all the way home, crawl up the steps, crawl to his bed. And when morning came, his good wife rushed into the room and said, "I see you've been drinking again." He said, "How did you know?" She said, "I just got a call from the bartender. You left your wheelchair at the bar." I have my speech here with me because there are two things that are sure signals of growing old. First of all, you lose your memory. You can't remember the second. But anyway, I got a call and asked if I could be part of this celebration. It was all explained to me, but I went to my typewriter, worked out a nice letter of congratulations. I even ran across a word called unstinting service. I was going to include that. Stretch it a little bit. And then just as I got ready to mail the letter, a voice came to me and said, "You meathead, it's a surprise party." So the next thing I had to do was to look up her full name. I never was so good at spelling. I still spell cat, K-E-T. But I just knew I could spell Sommers because I live at 5029 Summer Street, Philadelphia. I said, oh, that's easy. Marcia Sommers. S-U-M-M-E-R-S. I looked in the directory and I couldn't find it. I said, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. And then it dawned upon me. There's only one Marcia in existence. So I looked under S and there it was, Marcia Sommers. All I had to do was add the S. And so I composed for the night, this great celebration, a song honoring you, Marcia, whom I love very much. You're the most beautiful, not the most, because my wife is here. You're one of the most beautiful. And the song I composed does not bear the slightest resemblance to any song you've ever heard before. Summer's time and the singing sounds easy. Folks are so happy and no one is high. Marcia looks rich and she's always good looking. So hush, little Marcia, don't.
Thank you, Karen?
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Okay, let me see if I can read my notes. Okay, I remember when Marcia first came here, she was so enthusiastic and her love of music was so exciting. And she was so happy to be here from Gastonia, North Carolina. And of course, I remember her bringing this little bundle of joy, little Will now. And she'd bring him in and put him in his little crib in her, outside her office. And then a couple times she brought him in his little car seat and she put him in the old conference room on a table. And myself and Jean Francis, who was the office manager before I became it, she's all gray too, we would sit down and look at Will and we'd talk to him and try and say, "Hi, Will, hi, Will." No expression on Will's face. We thought, who are those wacky ladies who are trying to talk to me? She just ignored us. Somewhere, and then some other interesting things in the time that Marcia's been here. In my office, somehow or other, I inherited a green leather chair, tufted chair, that somehow got nicknamed the therapy chair. Remember, Randy? We don't know where, but Marcia would come in occasionally and she said, "Oh, somebody's sitting in the therapy chair." Now, nobody would really come in for therapy. They would just come in and chit-chat. And of course, I would chit-chat too. Anyway, but that was kind of a fun experience. I remember Marcia was getting ready to interview Stefan when he first came. She came into our office. Randy Parker, my best buddy Randy Parker and I, she came in, she was all excited because she was getting to interview Stefan. We thought, oh, I hope this really works out. And of course, Stefan came in. It was very wonderful to have Stefan for his years. Marcia's one of the most creative people that I know. Well, the Sunday bulletins used to be 8.5 by 11, little booklet you fold in half, and we had them for a long time. And then Marcia said, we need something different. So next thing you know, we did it on 11 by 17. She created it. We worked together trying to make it perfect. Then we would get Christmas Eve bulletins, fancy Christmas Eve bulletins. She and I look at the catalogs. Bill Hess didn't care what we picked. Go pick it. That's fine. And I also like the column classics. There was always so many fun events, the Broadway shows, along with gardens, the Messiah Singing. Finally, I decided to try the Messiah Singing after David Morgan, God bless his soul, kept saying how wonderful it was to do. I thought, I'm going to try that too. And it was wonderful to be a part of that experience, since I'm not in the choir, but at least to be a part of that a little bit. It was really very rewarding. And then Marcia and I are Monday morning quarterbacks, because now Marcia, since Will had this great football career at Ruston, we talk about the games, and being my husband's a coach at Ursinus, so we were big football fans. And now, so we talk Monday mornings about all the games and how they went. And then now Will went on to Pitt, and so now, but we still go to the games. Marcia still loves going to the Ruston games. So Monday mornings we just said, okay, how did Ruston do? How did Ursinus do? So we'd sit there and just talk about all the games. And of course, the latest project has been the hymnal, the big hymnal project. I am so glad the hymnal project. I'm happy. It was well worth it. It's okay. It was fun to do it. I'm really happy that it's worked out. So, Marcia, I just want to say it's been a real joy and a blessing working with you for these last 20 years, and I can't wait to see what's in store for the next 20 years.
Thank you, Karen. Are there other staff, former staff here who want to? Elizabeth? You're up.
Which Elizabeth will it be? Is it Elizabeth with a Z or Elizabeth?
So I'm still trying to figure out how to follow Anderson. This is going to be a little dry compared to that, but music and fine arts, as we all know, is exceptional at our church. When I first came to our church, when I was interviewing for this position, I looked at the SIF for First Press, and I was amazed. I was amazed by the scope and the depth of the music and the fine arts ministry at first. Not only was there a wonderful chancel choir, there was also a youth choir and 2 children's choirs, several bell choirs for both adults and youth, a brass ensemble, a flute ensemble. And I was like, where am I going? This is amazing. There's no doubt that your leadership is the reason that the music and fine arts ministry at First is so strong and so exceptional. You are truly gifted at incorporating music into worship in a very meaningful way. You tie it in so beautifully with everything, with the scripture, with the sermon. You are so intentional about that, and it's just a joy to see that all come together every Sunday. And your pursuit of excellence is the reason that this ministry flourishes and is so strong at our church. One of the most exceptional things about you, though, is how versatile you are, in my mind. Your leadership extends not only to adults, but also to youth and to our kids, not only to worship, but to events beyond worship, even Broadway productions. Not only to vocal ensembles, but also to a range of different instrumental ensembles. You play the flute as beautifully as you sing, and you're just as home leading a chancel choir rehearsal as you are leading kids and teaching them a new song for PBS. You are amazingly versatile. Equally exceptional about you is that your leadership reaches beyond music and fine arts. You genuinely care about all those in the choir and our whole congregation. You are very devoted to them, and I think anyone who spends any amount of time with you realizes that about you. You're there not only when They're at rehearsals and at worship, but you're also there when they're facing a difficult time in their lives. And you're always the first one to pray for them. You are also very intentional about connecting music and fine arts and with other ministries of the church. Your leadership is a gift to everyone, not only those who are directly involved in the music and fine arts ministries. It's a joy to celebrate your 20th anniversary and to take a moment to reflect on all the ways your leadership is such a blessing to our congregation. And I know I'm just one of many here who just genuinely thank you and hope that you are at First Pres for many, many more years to come. So, thank you.
Thank you. Arm. That's one way to get there.
It was so hard to follow those people. Okay, first of all, thank you so much for having me to be part of this surprise dinner for Marcia tonight. And I have to tell Marcia that they, the committee member, they work really, really hard and secretively. When I met Marcia for the first time, I was only 23 years old, and it was like 2006. Yeah, so basically that tells you how old I am. Yeah, so she was my first immediate boss as a church musician. And we had a nice chat times before the choir rehearsal most Thursdays. She was a great mentor for professional guidance, as well as a good friend for my personal concerns. And she was a demanding musician, but well balanced. She challenged me, but also knew when to stop me from working too much. Now I can say this because I'm in 30s and have a little more experience. I truly believe that she's a wonderful example of a church musician because she's enthusiastic and passionate to serve the church through her music. More than anything, she has heartfelt love for people and the church congregation. So congratulations, Marcia, for your hard work.
Thank you, Arm. Are there other staff members, or former staff, who want to say anything? Will, did you have anything? Okay, all right. Well, we're going to give you an opportunity. But, okay. I think if we can get our ensemble up here.
Oh, yeah.
A little surprise.
I finally got engaged. I finally got
So we just decided on these two, and we don't feel like.
I love them.
Okay. What we want to do now is open up the mic for anybody that has not spoken who has something they'd like to say to Marcia. Keep it short, keep it sweet, and so does anybody want to come up and say anything?
I'll just say something really short, but I don't need to say it on a mic. I just was so impressed when our Victoria came from BBS. You are awesome with the kids. Your son Will is awesome, and thank you so much for making it such a pleasant time for them. She's great.
I got another one for you, and I apologize. We thought we were going to be able to put this stuff on the big screen, but my technology is too darn old. So anyway, you may have to, this is for you, so you might want to stand up and take a look at this. The rest of you will kind of get the idea from listening. Yeah, I'll just let it go.
Step on angles.
Greek
Greetings from the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm sitting here at the organ. It's a two-manual organ by Obedient. And I want to play one piece for you, Marcia, to congratulate you on your 20th anniversary of your wonderful work as Director of Music at First Presbyterian Church. And I'm really sorry that I and we cannot be there, but yeah, sometimes the circumstances are a little bit tricky. I wish you all the very best, Marcia. Another at least 20 years of very creative and inspiring musical work. And I hope that you will continue to have much patience, especially with the Chancel Choir, with the alto section. So Barb, please behave. The Super Bowl. Okay, here we go. It's a piece, of course, by German composer Siegfried Karg. Danket alle Gott.
Is there anyone else? Hard to follow that. Okay. Would you like to say anything?
Oh my God. Yes, I probably would like to say that.
This is your time.
Well, first of all, I am blown away that I did not pick up wind of this part because my antenna are usually up. What a fun evening for me. What an absolute delight. I cannot thank you enough for all your work to pull this together. Lots of pieces of my life are coming together in this party. For my family over here, from remembering myself being pregnant when I interviewed here. And I have flashes of my time here. This was an amazing position to take at the time in my life that I took it. And I remember coming to the choir room, and there were literally about 100 people that auditioned me when we came up here, and my family was in New Jersey, and it was just a wonderful opportunity for me to get a little closer to where I grew up, but it was also a great opportunity for me as a musician and as a church musician to come into this great fellowship. I had very big shoes to fill, very big shoes to walk into, and I was the Auslander for a while, coming in and making a program my own, but I was determined not to be an interim. I was determined to come in and give you folks what I felt was my vision of ministry as you wanted it to be at First Presbyterian. And I have so many fun memories of coming to my first choir rehearsal in a maternity dress. I stuck a pillow under there, and I made light. I said, well, the last time you saw me, I looked like this. And I can remember that. I remember that first. And I remember the configuration of the rooms upstairs, that they were different than they are today. And I remember this little postage stamp office that I had, and having Will in a funny little crib outside. It was really great fun. But the fun thing for me this week, and the touching thing for me this week, is as we go through these hymnals, to see the names of some really loved church members that are no longer with us. And there was a hymnal from a choir member that I pulled out this week. I hope they're going to come and take this. It was in memory of Gail Muehlbach, who may not mean much to you, but Gail was the first member of the Chancel Choir under my time here to pass away. She had cancer, and she died, I think, the fall that I first came here. And so from beloved saints like Gail, and I think of Cam Hitchcock. I saw the picture in the scrolling videos that Brian has of Lynn Weaver, and the name of David Morgan comes up, and Liz Heed, and not only those great saints who have gone on, but I look at kids like Alyssa and Bailey, and I see Lindsay back there, and I'm still Facebook friends with some of my kids from North Carolina who are now in their 30s, and Will and I had such a fun experience going on college trips, and a group of friends there took us to dinner, and one of my kids was in his face saying, "We think your mom's the best. She took us to summer camps." And this was like a life before Will ever came along. So I have I'm the one who's been blessed. You have blessed me with an amazing outpouring of talent. You've allowed me to take your gifts and try to shape them into something that's been meaningful for our congregation. And I know that because they tell me that, and you tell me that. And so thank you for saying all these kind words for me, but the reality is you have been a blessing to me, and it's been a gracious and a wonderful ride for me to serve at First Presbyterian Church in a beautiful community, in a place that I really do love and I do call home, and all I can say to you is thank you. Thank you.
before we end the evening, we have one final thing for you.
What? I need the card first. With sincere appreciation and gratitude on your 20th anniversary, love the ringers and singers, your choir families. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
I told you!
What is this? This is the house in Maine that my granddad was born in, and it's still there. We go back and see it in the summertime. And this is from a photograph. I know you got this from a photograph. But when we go to Maine, we go to Bucksport, and this is the little house in Bucksport where my granddad was born in Marcel. Where are you? 1898. When was he born? 1895. And they're buried up there, and that's what this is. This house has very special meaning for us. This is a Dennis Park creation.
We need to have the card back. We're going to have a thing that is in the bulletins made. Somebody in the office, Karen, is going to make a book plate to go on the back of it. So we need the words. Okay.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Wow, this is crazy.
Hey, Marcia, is Dad sitting on the porch?
No, but I think Mom might be.
His cigar?
Yeah, I think so. Is that on the porch?
All right, that concludes tonight's final, our activities for the evening. Greg's going to close us. I just want to say thank you all very much for being out here, giving up your Saturday evening and helping us pull one over on her.